All right, now let's do a Yakumo combat guide. So this is going to be a very like introductory level guide. Anybody who's trying to say they like understand like the advanced concepts of this game yet are lying. Unless they got a review copy and have put hundreds of hours in over the last couple weeks and are very fucking good gamers. All of the combat guides I've seen are all very like, here's the combos. Like I think most people are smart enough to like know how to use combos. But yeah, we'll go over combos, but we're gonna go over a lot more. So we have 4 weapons. We're gonna go over each weapon and some general mechanics. So obviously with Yakumo, just like Ryu, you can move around. However, unlike Ryu, you cannot do on-landing jumps, which is fucking so like heartbreaking. But you can do slide jumps. So when you're moving about the field, doing your dash and then jumping is going to be how you want to go about it. Now I want to show my controls. I mapped these in a unique way. First of all, I wanted block on LB, like literally like every other game that's not named Bayonetta that exists in the world. And I wanted Bloodraven on RB or R1 because being a Neo fan, that's just like second nature to use R1 or RB for your modifier. That does make one specific thing kind of harder, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. So Yakumo has attacks, light attacks, and he has heavy attacks. Light attacks are like, you know, your normal strings. Heavy attacks a lot of the times will be your launching attacks. So when you do like XY, it'll launch. With the saber, YY is going to launch. We'll talk about the ninja box in a little bit. So with your sword weapons, get used to the idea that Y is going to be, you know, involved with launching if you want to get people in the air. But again, that's just like learning your combos. Pressing R1 or whatever, I can't remember. I think it was L2. Whatever your Bloodraven form is, puts Yakumo in Bloodraven form. This changes everything Yakumo does. Instead of a shuriken, he does this. He gets a little like, I don't know, ranged attack. I want to see if I can always fall. Okay, good. So you get a unique ranged attack, which is really cool. You get a unique dash. So if we look at the dash in Bloodraven form versus the dash out of Bloodraven form, they're a bit different. And you get unique attacks. Now, there's 3 versions, 3 base versions of these Bloodraven attacks. There's just hitting light attack or hitting heavy attack. There's light attack combos. There's heavy attack combos. You can charge them. Then there's also modifiers on top of this. So just like your regular attacks, there's, you know, forward back input. There's rotate input. And all of these can be charged or not, right? Now, this one with this control scheme, you have to hold R1 and R2. And this is typically like when you hold R1 and A or Bloodbind and jump, it's going to typically give you an aerial attack. When you do Bloodbind and R2 or the gear, so Bloodbind plus gear, it's going to give you like typically some sort of like launcher where you're like moving forward. So you can use Bloodraven to really this dude like isn't I gotta change his behavior so he's not like chasing me. That shit's like annoying the fuck out of me. Okay. You can use Bloodraven as a defensive move as well as an offensive move. So again, your dash is different. You can use it to like bounce out of the way. And you can use it to get airborne if you need to get airborne. And I use this a lot. especially on Master Ninja. Like, there's a ton where I'm surrounded and I'm like, shit, what am I gonna do? Up and go. So you can really use it as a way to, like, you know, get the fuck out of the way of things or get into the air and things like this. So the next thing, and there's so much to go over. The next thing with Bloodraven, I guess that's really like important, is learning which attacks are high D-limbs. Bloodraven is very good for D-limbing. Typically, your charged heavy attack versions are going to D-limb really well, but it's like not working right now for some reason. But there we go. Especially like some of the like inputted attacks, but that can decapitate or delimb like an entire group of people literally like out of nowhere. So it's really important to like learn. It's very easy with Yakumo to mash. What the hardest part about this game is like learning all how to do everything and all your combos. And we're gonna talk about like comboing in just a second here, but I want to finish going over Bloodraven. So, you know, all of the weapons have that like similar philosophy where you have your heavy attack, you have your light attack, R2 or Raven Gear is gonna get you like kind of launch you a little bit, and A is going to put you into the air. After that, it's just learning like what the different attacks do and utilizing them in like whatever way you find fun. Just keep in mind you can hold pretty much all of them, even like your. So that's the hold. This is like not holding. Even when you do the perfect dodge into the Bloodraven, it will, if you hold it, you will get like an extended attack. So, you know, utilize that. So now let's talk about like comboing. And this is where I think people, especially like, you know, people who are really set in the ways of like NG2 or NGB or whatever, are really struggling. So with Ninja Gaiden 4, you don't have like a super long combo list. And you don't have like directional inputs to modify your combo list. What you do have are different attacks that you combo in, and this is like the hardest part. So okay, let's just look at here. I want to look at weapon skills. Okay, so you know, every weapon and every Bloodraven form is gonna have the same thing: back forward Y, back forward X, rotate Y, rotate X, and then the Bloodraven variants of all of these. Now, your regular strings are just going to be like X, Y, whatever, X, X, Y, X, 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 Y. Can I put somebody that's like beefier here? Because this dude dies way too fast. Who's like the beefiest fucker? Van Gelf's are pretty beefy. Let's just put one of these guys here. Okay. You know, X, 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 Y, blah, blah, blah. You get the drill. So how do you, like, combo in Ninja Gaiden 4? Like, since there's not as many strings and there's not as many directional inputs, how do we solve this? We solve this by using our forward back Ys, our rotate Ys, our rotate X's in the middle of your combo. So X, X, forward back. I switched weapons, I didn't mean to. X, X, forward back Y, X, X, rotate X. And this is really hard because you can't spam. You can't just be like X, Y, X, X, forward, X, Y, blah, blah, blah. You really have to be like deliberate. So if you're spamming super hard, you're gonna have a really hard time like pulling off these combos. So again, X, 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 jump, it's hard to talk, X, 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 back, forward, Y. Now, the problem with this is when you do a lot of these attacks that have back forward or rotate inputs, the recovery frames are really long. So I am mashing the attack button. I'll tell you right now, I'm mashing. That's how long it takes to get back into it. Very long. You can shorten these in a couple ways. Obviously, like there's shuriken cancels, which get you in a little bit faster. but it's not super fast. The best way, and what you really need to get comfortable with, is Blood Raven canceling. So again, let's take a look at the normal speed. That's how long it takes. With Shuriken, a little bit faster. With Blood Raven, you're right into it. So Blood Raven canceling is essentially a skill you need to get really good at, and it's what allows you to really there's so many like different combo variations. So we just talked about how with Blood Raven form there's, you know what, there's 1, 2, forward back X, forward back Y, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, there's like 8 different Blood Raven attacks, plus there's 4 like, you know, unique directional input attacks. So in the middle of every combo, you can like put in whatever you want. So, you know, your X, 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 rotate, back, forward, Y, like, or R1, back, forward, Y, like getting these inputs down is extremely difficult to do and takes a lot of practice. Initially, you're probably just going to be canceling these with the regular like Y and X attacks, but as you get better and better, you'll be buffering in your forward back inputs and rotate inputs, because you can actually input buffer them while you're in the attack. So that allows you to combo in like basically whatever skill you want to. And by input buffering, I mean like while this attack is going, you start your inputs. So you're doing rotate Y or rotate X, boom, boom, boom. You're holding R1. So the attack's going off, you start holding R1. I wish you could do a controller overlay, but you start holding R1 and you start doing your rotate, rotate X, rotate Y, back forward X, back forward Y, whatever the fuck you want to do. And you can input buffer that, which will allow you to animation cancel a lot of these active skills that have really long recovery times and leave you open. So that's essentially like how combos work in this game, and that leads to like really big D-limbs, especially with like the mobility of some of these. So it's really hard to like, you know, we talked about how these charged versions are what give us like the really high D-limbs, especially on the heavy attack, but also like the rotate versions give you really good, the rotate attacks seem to be the best for D-limbing. So if you want to get like a good charge attack D-lim in, a lot of these directional input attacks, and by directional, I know I've said it a few times, but I mean the back forward and the rotate commands, they give you like really good mobility. So it gives you like, it gets you behind the enemy or some distance from the enemy and gives you time to actually like charge these attacks to where you can like, you know, deal with a lot of enemies that are on the screen, get your D-limbs, deal good damage, shit like that. So that's something I think a lot of people, a lot of Ninja Gaiden players even, are really struggling with, because they're trying to play it like NG, where it's just like X, 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 Y, 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 blah, 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 blah. And that's really not like the optimal way to play. You need to like really know your combo strings. That's kind of why I think they left the combo strings very limited. Because imagine if there was a bunch of complicated like combo strings on top of having to learn when and how to put these directional input attacks in and input buffer your Blood Raven cancels and shit like that. That would be like beyond difficult to do and comprehend. So yeah, I hope like that alone really helps people, because people are struggling really hard, I think, to like really understand the combo concept of this game. It still plays like NG, it's just you're doing different commands, and you could tell this with Rise of the Ronin. Even like Rise of the Ronin was very much like this, where, you know, in Neo you could kind of just like cycle spam your skills. In Ronin, if you wanted to fucking combo heavy, they had the same thing, like directional input attacks and shit like this, and you had to be very deliberate at where you are in your combo string. Now, we'll like touch on what each weapon, a little bit about each weapon. Obviously, like I think the dual swords are by far the best weapon in the game. It has super fast Blood Raven attacks. Enemies will do a red attack, which is basically the same thing as a burst counter in Neo, where you need to get a red attack off to interrupt it. Some of these red attacks are very fast, so trying to input buffer like a back forward Y or rotate Blood Raven attack to act as your burst counter is very difficult. You always want to do whatever your quickest Blood Raven attack is. The dual swords X is very fast. That shit comes right out. Saber also pretty quick with the X. Even the Y is pretty fast. I actually don't know like which is faster frames. Staff, I really struggle against some bosses to get good burst counters. That's a lot slower. That's significantly slower. None of them are like super fast. Oh yeah, this one's pretty fast, I guess. But it's a back forward input, which is like a lot harder to pull off. So, yeah. This is probably the fastest. The just straight R1X where you're throwing your windmill shuriken. That is an extremely quick burst counter, and I think it like leads to this being like the absolute best weapon in the game, because you can use it, you know, even if boss is starting, like some bosses will start their burst counter attack and then jump into the air, and then you have to like time it properly, and it's super hard. This will just decimate them. Now, I don't think we really need to go over like a lot of this shit because it's, you know, very explained in the game. At least I hope it is. And there are plenty of guides where people are talking about these super basic things, like you know, everything's in the game, like what a parry is. Like a parry's a fucking parry. You attack their attack, use it if you want, if you don't. However, against bosses, parrying basically trivializes them. It's very obviously like high risk, high reward, but parries and perfect blocks are very strong against bosses. So you have Reflect and Fatal Flash, which will essentially just like stun lock bosses until they do a red attack, and then when they do a red attack, you burst counter them and stun lock them again. Just like NG, you want to really be taking advantage, you know, just like, you know, my NG2 guide, you need to be taking advantage of wind paths and GTs. I'll go into a combat challenge and showcase movement and crowd control in a minute here, but I want to finish going over all of this. Okay, so again, like there's really not, you know, a lot to like these things. There's Blood Raven versions of everything and regular versions of everything, and it really just comes down to like a perfect dodge follow-up. You can follow up perfect dodges with a Y attack or a Blood Raven just pressing Y. Really not a lot to be said there. Just keep in mind that you are keeping an eye on your Blood Raven gauge. Keep an eye, it's very, you know, easy to try to like combo in your Blood Raven attacks and not have blood gauge when you need it. Fortunately, with the way the item system works, you can literally essentially pause the game if you really need to and use an item that'll give you like Blood Raven back or blood gauge back or whatever. So yeah, now let's talk about this weapon. This weapon is the Ninja Box, which is the coolest fucking weapon in the game, hands down. So how does it work? Well, different strings bring out different weapons. Your first Y attack is the Tonfa. Your second Y attack, I don't know, it's so hard to like tell what he's doing, but it's almost like he's like combining the Tonfas, or he's just pulling out some chucks. But anyways, you pull out some chucks. Third attack, could have sworn there was a claw attack built in there. There's not. Okay, so Tonfa, this, and then like your flail. You have like this big ass flail. Also with your X attack, so your X attacks are throwing the shuriken. The final hit of the combo throws grenades. You can also pull out your various weapons from combos that start with light attack or start with the ranged attack. So XY pulls out the Tonfa again. Or I guess not. Let's... No, I don't want to attack this guy. Get the fuck over here. I could have sworn it was Tonfa then sword. I think it is Tonfa then sword. Whatever. Double XY. He pulls out the flail again. Triple XY. He pulls out his claws. Quadruple XY. He pulls out his chucks. And then that's your, if you do 5 hits, he basically cycles through all 3 of these. So, really, like, it's cool. It would be, it really, like, makes me want to, like, use these weapons exclusively, but it is what it is. The forward back Y pulls out, like a Tonfa attack. The rotate Y pulls out your flail. I could have sworn, actually, forward back Y was... Yeah, okay. Forward back Y is your claws. I don't know why it was pulling Tonfas there. But it's basically, like, Ryu basically has its attack in Razor's Edge. So it gives you your mobility. Forward back X. I love this attack. You basically use these as, like, a melee weapon. Your windmill shuriken as a melee weapon. And then your rotate is just throwing some grenades. So it's a very complicated weapon, but it's a very, very strong weapon. You can Azuna drop, you can fucking flying swallow into Azuna drop, just like you can like with the claws. And because when he does his flying swallow, he pulls out his claws. So you can literally do the flying swallow into Azuna drop like you could in Ninja Gaiden 2, which is a lot of fun. I'll try to showcase that real quick. I just want like a basic fodder enemy. So let's try it. Nope, what are you doing, Ryu? Or Yakumo? And it's just XY. So Wimpath, XY. It's not XXY, it's just XY. So we get the flying swallow into Izuna drop back. So again, like not, you know, I just kind of want to go over this weapon because I think it's kind of a harder one to figure out. But it gives you so much versatility. When you're fighting ranged enemies, you know, you have this option. Also, that's a good point. When you're dealing with ranged enemies, almost always there's these things on... Fly in the air, buddy. Normal. See what he does. Training settings. Normal. Okay. Wait. Is that enemy behavior? Yeah. Okay. Oh, you can set him to infinite health. I should have done that. Alright, come on, buddy. Let's go. There you go. Gonna attack. Okay, anyways, pretty much every time these dick farts are in the air, you have something on the wall, and Yakumo gets some pretty insane distance going to them. So the best way to deal with these guys unequivocally is to get up, X, and just basically mash X until you get to him. And even if you like miss your Azuna drop, it's gonna be okay. But these guys are in a lot of fights, and they are super dangerous since they just basically stand up there and pelt you with bullets. And yes, if you're at a full sprint, it seems like you can deflect bullets. But getting at a full sprint, like in a combat encounter, see, look at this. Look at how much he's pelting me there. And look how hard it is to like get up to a full sprint to be able to block your attacks. Come on, buddy. So like if I'm getting pelted, it's hard once you start, like if you get hit once, it's really hard to like get into that sprint to start deflecting bullets. So yeah, take them out ASAP. You can try to like wind path flying swallow them, but that's typically a lot harder. Like look at the air that Yakumo gets, pretty insane. But that's a lot harder to do because you're gonna miss a lot. But if you just grapple and mash X, you'll be able to take them out. So yeah, like I've said, when it comes to combos, just you have to build your own combos. That's kind of like what the game is all about. It's not about like XY strings, XY forward Y strings, shit like this. It's really about like building your own combos using your X strings, your rotates, and Bloodraven attacks. And it's hard to do because you have to be very deliberate. If you are very mash happy, you are going to have a hard time doing this properly, to where you're like pulling off combos that are like absolutely deliberate. Another cool feature that I can think of right now is Yakumo can flying swallow directionally. So like there's this attack that I love. It's the forward back on the rapier. If you do this attack, it launches Yakumo in the air. If you do it and you press Y, he comes down. If you do it and press forward Y, he'll flying swallow. So pretty much like, not always, but come on, buddy. A lot of attacks like that Yakumo flips up in the air. If you do forward Y, it'll transition you into a flying swallow, which is, you know, a lot of fun and a lot of cool. I've also seen people be like, why is he always backflipping? Well, you can fucking flying swallow out of it. You can fucking Bloodraven out of it. So, you know, when Yakumo does a backflip, it's not just like for style, it's for, you know, efficiency. Or not efficiency, but it's to get you out of the way, get you in the air, and give you something to do. So yeah, you do have Shuriken cancels. They're not as good. Bloodraven canceling is where it's at. Don't waste your Bloodraven gauge too much, your Blood Form gauge too much. Try to make sure you have enough to burst counter if you need it. Make sure you're using the different variants of Bloodraven for mobility and movement if you need to. Getting up into the air, fucking off on your rocket. Whatever you need to do, they are very good to get out of the way and, you know, for mobility, if you can like think about pulling it off at the proper time. And it doesn't really use blood gauge to just do this if you're not pressing the attack button along with it. So once you can basically use it for free as a get out of here move, it's not until you press either X or Y that you're actually consuming any sort of Bloodraven gauge. Your combos are going to be comboing into Bloodraven and cutting your string short into your directional input attacks. Directional input attacks have very long recovery. Make sure you're at bare minimum throwing a shuriken, or better yet, buffering in one of your Bloodraven attacks, input buffering in one of your Bloodraven attacks to kind of combo out of it. And I think that covers like all I want to say about that at the moment. So now I do want to kind of show like just basic combat and crowd control, because it is like I basically play this game just like Ninja Gaiden 2, but like new combat mechanics. And again, I know the Ninja Gaiden 2 fans are going to be like, that is so wrong, you don't understand Ninja Gaiden. No, you don't understand Ninja Gaiden, motherfucker. Okay, so okay, a couple minutes here, good, perfect. 30 minutes is a long time for a guide, but it needed to be done because nobody's talked about this. They're just like, here's how to parry, here's how to perfect block, here's how to perfect dodge, here's your combo. Okay, so again, I see two guys up in the air. Priority is taking them out. I'm gonna dash over here. If I was like really good, I would have used like my drilled Bloodraven to get over there. Okay, so now those guys are out. Now I have option. I'm surrounded. I can't talk and play. Okay, I'm surrounded here, right? So what do? I'm just gonna shut up and play. But try to pay attention. Notice I'm like barely taking advantage of perfect dodges and blocks that much. For the most part, I'm trying to just maintain my positioning. And these are normal trials, so I'm kind of playing very reckless and shitty. I haven't talked about this, so I will. We have our Berserker gauge, which certain attacks will give you these executions. Berserker gauge is very, like, you don't get it very often. So it's very, it's not too, I was worried it was going to be way too broken, but it's really not. So these are the enemies that I fucking hate. Not these guys. I like these demons. These fucking zombies. Like, they're just so boring. They don't do shit. Except for jump on you. But I guess we can really showcase, like, some of the combo potential here. Like, look at all these fuckers. So X, X, rotate. Ah, damn it. X, X, rotate. Oh my god. Rotate X. Rotate Y. Get them all off of you. You can still flying swallow with the lunar. And again, like, these enemies kind of suck. I really wish I would have saved my Bloodbind gauge or my Berserker gauge or whatever for this. Ooh, I almost have it. So that's another thing I should talk about. Your Berserker gauge fills. It seems to fill based on just like the number of attacks you're doing. Your Bloodbind gauge fills off of different animations. Like OTs, for instance, really fill your Bloodbind gauge quickly. OTs do not seem to fill your Berserker gauge quickly, but UTs do. Okay, here's a good fight. See, like right now, I don't have any Bloodbind gauge because I just used it all clearing the zombies, so I had no way to counter that. And these guys can like kind of block your flying swallow or your GPs and wind path. You can perfect dodge into on landing UTs. So there, I fucked up. I should have used my up in the air because I had two guys hitting me with red attacks at the same time. So it would have been a lot more advantageous to do this, which I fucked up again, but trying to get up into the air and kind of attack them all. These guys are hard to like separate. I'm playing like shit, trying to talk. So, okay, pause. So what I want to do now, or what you should try to do now, is separate these guys. So how do you deal with crowd control? This guy here, you can't really, like, guillotine throw. He blocks it. So this guy just freed up, so I can come over here and try to take him out real quick. Same with this guy. At least I'm not getting pelted with ranged attacks. Okay, so now again, we got a bunch of enemies. This guy's obviously super dangerous. See, I still don't have the muscle memory yet to use Blood Raven in the air. Oh, that wasn't fast enough. That really sucks because I kind of wanted to showcase some stuff there, but you get the point, right? Like, the point is, you're not just like spamming deflects and perfect blocks and parries and shit like this. You have to really be focused on like crowd control and, you know, utilizing iframes in specific ways. So again, I see those ranged guys up there. I'm gonna target them. And we're gonna actually just like clear it this time. I got them all grouped up so I can do an on-landing UT. I don't like how the UTs, it's not like... So that's another thing, you can utilize GTs if you see a red attack coming at you and you don't have Blood Raven gauge. You can guillotine throw them and interrupt it. These guys are super dangerous on Master Ninja. Again, on landing UT is super crucial, but you're only taking out 2 enemies with them. It's not like NG2 where you're going to be able to wipe a whole room. The Lunar does a little bit better job. It'll actually hit multiple enemies, but it's still not going to like... Okay, so we have our blood gauge, so we can try to wipe these zombies as fast as possible, because fuck the zombies. And then we're gonna end it with this. Okay. That was fun. Okay, now we're back here. Okay. So, if you want to play like optimally, you would take out a couple of these guys and then hard target this asshole. No, why? Oh my god, I hate the hard target. But basically tried to UT him, but he blocked it, because of course he did. Get that guy out of the way. Get another essence on the ground. Get a UT. Now I can get another essence. Now I could just UT chain this to end it if I wanted to. And I fucked up. I should have done... That's the time where you should do this attack. When you see that red shit on the ground, you should be busting that out. I don't know who's shooting me. Can't believe that didn't delim him. Okay, so crowd control, target ranged guys, quick, quick delims into quick OT so you can get an essence, so you can get a UT on the big elite enemy that's there, just like you would typically play Ninja Gaiden, right? When I was trying to talk, I kind of like fucked up, but I hope you can see a little bit better on that second run there. Use your Blood Raven, your Blood Bind, big fucking berserk mode shit when there's a crowd of enemies you don't want to deal with. Wipe them all out quickly. prioritize your ranged guys, lots of guillotine throws, utilize Bloodraven form in smart ways, which I really failed at. I really did. I'm sorry, but like where you can jump up on the pole like that to get out of an AoE and then use the follow-up attack to come down and basically wipe everybody. When there's a big enemy on the ground, you want to try to get the smaller enemies away, use guillotine throws to throw them to the other side of the arena, then do a flying swallow to get over to them, take them out either with an Azuna drop or like a quick D-limb into an OT, take that essence into the big guy, do a wind path on him into an on-landing UT. He might block it. Like, it's very dynamic, but hopefully you can see like the fundamentals of crowd control at the very least. But yeah, 40 minutes is way too long, so thanks for watching, peace out, and have fun with NG4.